Their defense is a joke.
What it really comes down to is I would love to have either of them.
They don't have a prayer in their secondary. They have nothing.
So you're saying just don't draft Blunt?
I'm saying don't draft Blunt.
He was unbelievably efficient last year.
You know that they use their running backs in the passing game a ton.
I'm drafting him tonight.
That's Team Huevos. Huevos gigantes.
Hey everyone, welcome into the FantasyPros Football Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Sylvester, joined as always by Mike Tagliere. You can give us a follow on Twitter at BobbyFantasyPro and at Mike Tagliere NFL. Tags, what's going on, dude?
Oh, nothing much, man. It's another beautiful day where we can't leave the house. Well, I guess we can leave the house, but it is what it is, right? And somehow I'm going to be taking vacation next week. I should probably announce that on here.
Wow.
I'm going to be out next week taking vacation, which includes absolutely going nowhere. But I'm going to try and work on my book, so I'll be happy to do that.
I like to hear that, man. Well, I'm sick right now, and this is good news for me because if I lose to you in this mock draft, at least I have an excuse, right?
There's always some sort of excuse.
So Tags is on a one-game winning streak. It's the longest winning streak of his career, and we've got a great guest in. So Tags is going to get third place today. We've got Sean Koerner, director of predictive analytics for the Action Network. He's been the #1 ranked FantasyPros NFL expert in 2015, 2016, 2017. He is the man. It's Sean Koerner. You can follow him on Twitter at @the_oddsmaker. Sean, thanks for coming on the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Bobby, I want to tell you, so Sean is one of those guys where, when you do your rankings for the week and you're like, you feel good about it, right? Like I've gone through it, I've done the primer, and Sean's one of those guys where if I see his ranking is completely different than mine, it makes me worried a little bit. Like Sean is one of the most accurate. Like he does like what's most likely to happen in terms of like his projections are phenomenal. So yeah, Sean's definitely a great guest to have on for this one.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to be doing a mock draft. It's not like the last show that we did where we did a best ball mock draft. That's a totally different strategy. Like I was drafting 3 quarterbacks. I drafted my, 4 running backs early and then just waited. And this I'm probably going to draft 6 or 7 running backs because we're doing a redraft league, standard settings. We've got, half PPR settings, and we've got the standard roster spots. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wideouts, a tight end, a flex, and 6 bench spots. We're not doing DST just because who knows? Like, we're all just going to draft the one for the best week 1 matchup, right? And the schedules come out Thursday. We'll be picking that apart. But for now, we're just not going to mess with DST or kicker. So I'm going to click Start Draft here. You can watch at youtube.com/fantasypros if you want to see what the multi-user draft room looks like. The draft is going to start in 25 seconds, and it gave us randomized draft spots. Wow, none of us in the top 6. Sean is the first pick at number 7. I've got number 8. And Tags, you're picking at the turn, which you do not like.
Yeah, I have the absolutely worst spot. I not only do I hate drafting at the turn, period, like I hate the 112 pick. And I know some people talk about that, like saying, oh, I wish I had, the 12-13 because you get 2 top 13 players. Well, then you only get 2 of the top 35 players as well. So I hate it.
All right. So I set the draft clock for 30 seconds, guys.
Wow,
so
that's
we
fast.
might need to start all the way over.
I think we probably should.
I screwed up. Let me do
and
that.
that also, and this is good though. This is really good. You want to know why, Sean?
Why? Are we going to get new picks?
We are going to get new positions,
okay.
and this makes me so happy. I mean, were any of us really happy though?
No.
Sean, you were 1-7.
I mean, what picks do you even like? I mean, I haven't done that many mock drafts, but I feel like, like a top 4 pick to, I don't know. I haven't really settled into what I'm rooting for here, but if you guys happen to know what
I want number 1. That's what I want, Sean.
Number 1's so easy. You already know who you're taking.
Yeah, I honestly like looking at it. McCaffrey, Saquon. Obviously, if you can get one of those 2 guys, it's awesome at the top 2. But then again, you're setting yourself up to be on the turn again, which it's less than ideal. But historically, the numbers back it up. If you draft 101, that's the pick that wins the most championships in terms of like the odds. So knowing we have the odds maker on the show, I'm guessing Sean would take the number 1 pick.
Yes.
I posted the new link in the chat. Sorry about that, guys. And I don't know if Chris is going to chop this all up and John or whatever, or if you guys are going to get like the behind the scenes Bobby being an idiot. Remember, I'm sick. This is my excuse.
Yeah,
but now I have to win this thing.
We're working out the kinks. I mean, like I said, this is only like the 3rd actual mock draft I've done, so I'm going to be making mistakes. I'm going to tell people not to do eventually, but that's the beauty of mock drafts is figuring it out.
Yep.
So I see Tags has his team name set as the opposite of Adam Gase.
Yeah, which actually kind of made sense, right? Like if I got the number 112 pick again, it would mean because I won the championship and you have the last pick in the draft. Adam Gase is the opposite of Adam Gase, who might be in the running for the number 1 overall pick because, well, he's just bad. And speaking of bad, the Jets actually signed Frank Gore. What do you guys, Sean, why are they signing Frank Gore? They drafted a running back in the 4th round after paying Le'Veon Bell a whole bunch of money. Now they're bringing in Frank Gore. Is this just going to be a mess of a backfield?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mess of a backfield. I've been moving Le'Veon Bell down my rankings quite a bit. Yesterday they said they were going to, limit Bell's workload, and that's about all he had going for him. So this only muddies the water more. I don't want to invest in the Jets' backfield. So this makes it easier to fade Le'Veon Bell, in my opinion.
I would agree. So, guys, after my screw-up, I restarted the draft, and I have pick number 12 now. Tags, you moved up to 105, and Dalvin Cook is still on the board. Sean picked 6th. I love the 5 spot. I don't love the 6 spot.
Well, hold on. I actually like the 6 spot because of a reason. I'm going to ask Sean real quick before I make this pick. I have my mind made up. But, Sean, do you consider Alvin Kamara with this pick over Dalvin Cook?
No, actually, I'd probably go Dalvin Cook, but I agree. I rather have 6 pick because I could take either one, honestly. I think it's a coin flip.
That's exactly how I feel. And I'm going to go with Kamara. I wanted to ask him about that. Ooh. But knowing that he said it's a coin flip. It's kind of how I feel about it. Dalvin Cook has had more issues staying healthy, but Kamara is tied to that offense. I'm a little worried about Minnesota in terms of losing Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, rookie coming in there. I just feel like the team is not going to be as good. They're going to have to throw maybe a little bit more considering the defense has taken some steps back. So I'm going to go with Kamara. I just love the player. And when you have Alvin Kamara in your lineup, you just feel better about life.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to go Dalvin Cook here. I think the one thing with Dalvin Cook, he has to stay healthy, and it seems like he's maxed out at about 14 games played, but the season might be 14 games this year. So it's a better chance of Dalvin Cook staying healthy all year. So I like taking Dalvin Cook here. Like I said, I would have been happy with him or Kamara.
Now, real quick, Bobby, before you make your pick, Sean, where do you have Michael Thomas overall? Like, what players would you take over Michael Thomas? Like, if you're at the 104 pick, are you taking Thomas there, or would you go with one of the running backs?
If it's full PPR, I would take Thomas for sure. I think half PPR, I'd move him down. I'd probably be comfortable taking him 7th overall. Once Kamara and Cook are off the board, that's when I'm taking Michael Thomas.
That's fair.
Austin Eckler just went 11th overall, fellas.
Nice.
No way. Not touching it.
I'm not doing that either. All right. DeAndre Hopkins is still there. I mean, it's the 12th pick. And I'm complaining about it, but last year you could have got Michael Thomas and Dalvin Cook. I don't know what I want to do here because I love Nick Chubb, but Kareem Hunt's still there. I like Josh Jacobs, but they went out and got Lynn Bowden. Crud. Go ahead, Tags.
I'm not going to talk you. I'm not going to talk you in or out of who you're going to pick. I'll just make fun of whoever you do pick if you screw it up.
Yeah, I'm going 2 wide receivers. Like, we're just going to test it, right? This is the time in the season where you test something and see how you feel about it. There's a lot of running backs I like later. I'm not going to tell you who they are because you guys are going to take the guys you want. I want Raheem Mostert and Matt Breida late. I want those as my number 2 and number 3 running backs. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones.
I love the Julio Jones, by the way. I think that he was the no-brainer pick at 112, so I'm down with that one. Hopkins is a little trickier. Sean, have you done your projections for 2020 yet?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about Hopkins in this Cardinals offense?
Well, yeah, I've only done initial projections. It's going to be about a couple weeks before I really dive in and complete my initial batch. So sure. I would say, Hopkins gets a downgrade. Just because, this offense is more spread out. They typically run 4 wide. And they don't have as many passing yards and touchdowns to go around, so that's going to hurt him. And plus, with the coronavirus, I think we're going to have an abbreviated offseason. Players going to new teams, it takes a while to build chemistry.
That's true.
In the offense and quarterback. So I'm not factoring that in a ton, but when it comes to just ties, I use that as a tiebreaker. If a guy's been in the offense for more than a year, I lean with that guy as opposed to a guy like a Tom Brady or DeAndre Hopkins that's going to a completely new scheme. I think that could hurt them with this abbreviated offseason.
So also Chris Godwin working with Tom Brady. Who would you have picked here at the turn? Would you have gone with one of the running backs, 2 of the running backs, or do you like Hopkins and Jones?
I love taking 2 receivers here. You mentioned a couple running backs I like getting late as well, so we'll see who gets them. But yeah, I just think running back, especially, we're experts. We're going to be really good at managing the waiver wire and getting those, diamonds in the rough off the waiver wire at running back. So I love going wide receiver heavy in your spot. But you can't go wrong either way. I think, the first couple rounds, you're just trying not to mess up. So, it's going to come
Jones
down
is
to
as
luck.
consistent as it gets. I mean, even Hopkins, he only had one bad season. It was with Brock Osweiler. So
I think I would have done exactly the same thing as you.
Okay.
And then here, I'm going to take. It's either Travis Kelce or George Kittle. I have them pretty much tied, but I'm going for the position drop off at tight end. I think getting one of the top 2 tight ends right here is the time to pull the trigger. So that's what I'm going to do there.
That's fair. I have no issue with taking a tight end there. To me, I've never felt great about my roster when I take a tight end early, so I've kind of gravitated towards the late tight end approach, streaming them, doing whatever I can, just because running backs dry up so fast, the workhorse running backs particularly, and there was one on the board that I was really hoping that Sean didn't take. I have him as my number 8 running back in the league. I do believe that he's a high-end second-round pick. I'm going to go with Kenyon Drake here. The way that he performed in this Cardinals offense, you do add DeAndre Hopkins to it. Obviously, Larry Fitzgerald coming back. Christian Kirk now in year 3. Andy Isabella maybe works his way into the offense. There's a whole lot. It's just impossible for a team to kind of key in on the run with Kenyon Drake. They did upgrade the offensive line a little bit too with Josh Jones in the 3rd round, which was a steal. So I'm going to take Drake here, who I do believe if he plays all 16 games, I am convinced that he finishes as a top 10 running back pretty easily. On a 1-year deal, obviously less than 500 carries on his frame over the course of his career. He's still fresh. I'm going to go Kenyon Drake.
Sean, there's a player I wanted to ask you about here because when Tag started talking about this guy, he had number 8. I was thinking he might be saying Miles Sanders. Now, a lot of people are super high on Miles Sanders. I'm still really nervous about him. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm probably in the middle of people that love him and being nervous. Like I said, I've done a few mock drafts and he's never even been considered for me. He's probably going at the time of the draft where people are just scrambling to take a running back, and that's. Like I said, that's what I mean, taking like a Travis Kelce type or even Lamar Jackson. I mean, it seems crazy to be taking a quarterback in, round 2 or round 3 this year. But, I'm trying to figure out the sweet spot for that this year. But to be fair, I'm going into these not saying I'm going to draft the quarterback late or I'm going to punt on running backs. Every year is different. So,
take
over
the
the
values
next
that fall, sure.
Yeah, over the next month, I'll see where people fall and stuff and then formulate my draft plan. But right now, I'm just really open to drafting guys wherever.
All right, Tags, it's back to you. You've got Kamara and Drake. You go on a 3rd running back here.
I mean, this is a dream scenario for me, right? I have Kamara, I have Drake, 2 top 8 running backs. And no, it's not Amari. Amari has been too inconsistent. You add in CeeDee Lamb to that offense, It's going to make it a little bit more consistent. He may lose some upside. The dream scenario here is Odell Beckham. Getting him in the 3rd round is kind of robbery. And, don't base your opinions on 1 year of an offense, guys. Like, understand that the Browns' entire offense was bad. Baker Mayfield was not good. That offensive line was not good. They've added 2 tackles now, 1 through the draft, 1 through free agency. But Odell Beckham, here's a stat I have for you guys. Over the course of his career, so despite the bad 2019 season, everybody knows that 2019 was bad for Odell. He has been a wide receiver 2 or better in 64% of his career games. The only players with better rates over their career are Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, and Antonio Brown. And that's despite the bad 2019. You add in another year recovering. Jarvis Landry coming back from hip surgery. There's a lot going on there. We don't know if he's going to bounce back as the same player. Don't forget about Odell Beckham. He's still elite, and getting him in the 3rd round as my wide receiver 1, I am more than happy about it.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that, Sean? Do you like Beckham over Juju and Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, AJ Brown?
Well, yeah, I definitely would have taken Beckham here. Honestly, it's a toss-up between Beckham and Cooper. So basically, Tags forced me to take Cooper. So I'm going to take Cooper there.
Sure.
But, with CeeDee Lamb joining, I think that does hurt Cooper's floor and ceiling just a tad. But, Randall Cobb and Jason Witten are gone. So there were some targets to be had. So I still like Cooper here. But yeah, I definitely would have preferred Odell Beckham. I think he's due for a monster season this year.
Now, I'm jumping way ahead, Bobby. Real quick. Are we overlooking Blake Jarwin a little bit? No, he's not going to be drafted here, so I feel comfortable bringing him up. But Witten and Jarwin last year, did you guys know that those guys combined for like 124 targets last year?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I like where you're going with this. Blake Jarwin's a guy I'm taking late in best ball drafts probably. He's one of the guys that's going to be overlooked now with CeeDee Lamb in the mix. So yeah, I'm hoping he can fall, outside the top 15 tight end, and he has massive upside. He's like a perfect late round best ball target in my opinion.
Yep.
So my two guys dropped here. By the way, I want to mention about tight ends. I usually love picking a tight end in the first round. I meant to say this, Sean, not in the first round. I'm sorry, in the second round with Kelsey or Kittle. But with Tyler Higbee sitting out there this year, I'm all in on grabbing him in like the 7th or 8th round. Big believer in that one. Now, I was really nervous about this pick because I need running backs. And the two that I wanted to fall to me fell to me. I'm getting Chris Carson first. And the other one is Melvin Gordon. We can talk about them in a second. But first I want to ask, Patrick Mahomes is still on the board. At what point would you take him, Sean?
I would probably take him at the end of the 3rd round, I think.
Depending on who's available, I'm sure.
Yeah, depending on who, when Lamar Jackson goes, that basically starts the clock when you should take Mahomes. But there is a pretty big drop-off still from Mahomes to the next batch of quarterbacks. So it's more of a personal call. It depends how the draft's going, honestly. But yeah, I would not hesitate to draft Patrick Mahomes at the end of the 3rd round if I had to.
Mark Andrews is looking really good. VBD score as well. The screen, if you're watching on youtube.com/fantasypros, it's basically just a bunch of metrics that show how much value a player has over the replacement player, over the next available player at the position. And Mark Andrews, at this point, seems interesting. Now, it's a little bit of a reach, but he's so dang good. I mean, if he's going to be on the field more than 40% of the time this year, I'm taking Melvin Gordon, though.
Yeah, it's fair. And to be fair, so Mark Andrews went off the board at 4-6 right before Sean's pick here.
All right, looks like I'm going to have to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes here. Probably a contrarian pick for an expert draft, but I'm going to see how this turns out.
I don't mind it. This is where I'd feel comfortable taking him because the guys that you're looking at on the board, like you have Le'Veon Bell here, David Johnson, those are the top running backs in ECR. Neither of them are probably going to be league winners for you. They're not going to finish as top 5 running backs, but they're more value plays in terms of getting a workhorse running back in the 4th round. Cortland Sutton took a big hit with Jerry Jeudy going there, KJ Hamler, a lot of players there. Devontae Parker, does he repeat 2019? Calvin Ridley, I like a lot, and that's. I'm right now I'm debating between Zach Ertz and Calvin Ridley. I like Ridley a lot, and I'm going to use Pick Predictor to kind of tell me who might fall. So Ridley is saying that there's a 76% chance that he's picked before my next one. And then Ertz is showing there's a 23% chance. So it's saying that Ertz might fall. And I'd be okay with Darren Waller as well. So I think I'm going to go Calvin Ridley here as my number 2 receiver behind Odell Beckham because not only does Ridley offer standalone value, but if something were to happen with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley is a top 12 weekly receiver. I mean, he's a stud. I mean, I think it helps to have Julio Jones in the field, but they never replaced Mohamed Sanu's targets. And unless we anticipate Hayden Hurst coming in and getting 110 targets, which is basically the pace that Austin Hooper was on, Calvin Ridley is going to get a big bump in targets. Like, I like Calvin Ridley a lot as a player, and I think the situation, it really doesn't get much better. Sean, where are you at on Ridley?
Yeah, I love Ridley here. I love his upside. I happen to think Hayden Hurst will come close to replacing Austin Hooper. Maybe not. Same. Maybe not the pace he was on last year before he got hurt, but definitely he's going to fit that role pretty well in that offense.
Yeah, that's how I have Hurst ranked as a top 10 tight end. So it's another reason that I'm willing to wait a tight end. Obviously, Bobby said Tyler Higbee. That's another one. Those are two guys. Yeah. no, I'm not taking them here.
I know you're not.
Those are two guys that you could target right now. Unfortunately, I do believe that eventually the crowd is going to catch up on those players. And I think this is actually a part where you can start to consider even Dak Prescott. He's actually my number 3 quarterback, and I
agree. I was going to say the same thing, man.
Yeah, I'm not that worried about him. There's just a lot of reasons to like him. But I already said last round I was contemplating Zach Ertz. He did fall to me here in the 5th. I actually think that Ertz is going to regress in terms of you have Goddard coming in, you have added wide receivers here. I think he's going to lose targets, but at the same time, he is a big part of this Doug Peterson offense, and they can't simply just move away from him. So Ertz in the 5th round, it just feels like too much value to pass up. Sean, if you knew that you can get Ertz in the 5th round, would you have taken? Was it Kittle that you took in the 2nd?
I took Kelsey. That's a close call, but I do agree with you guys. I have in my notes, like, if I don't get, Kittle or Kelsey early on, it's okay because guys like Tyler Higbee go pretty late, and same with Hayden Hurst. So there are guys later in the draft I'd be comfortable with. It just got to a point where I had to take Kelsey. But yeah, Ertz, I'm a little in the middle with Ertz. I think 5th round sounds about right.
He was the tight end 5 last year with 135 targets. You mentioned those targets are going backward. Goddard progresses. Ertz is on the wrong side of 30 years old now. Alshon comes back. Desean Jackson comes back. They add more wide receivers. Is he going to go backward from the tight end 5 you drafted him as the tight end 4?
I mean, there was a big gap between him and the tight end 6, like Austin Hooper, so he could still regress and still finish.
Austin Hooper was out for 4 weeks. Austin Hooper was the tight end 1 when he got hurt.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Hooper was going to regress, and I mean, he's not there anymore. And I like Darren Waller, and I had him actually ahead of Ertz before the Raiders started doing all this tight end crap, signing Jason Witten. They're going to have Foster Moreau back.
Every wide receiver in the
wide receiver available. Yeah, it's just a little concerning for Darren Waller. I love Waller, the player, but going Ertz here just made too much sense.
All right, who are you going with, Sean?
I'm going to take Mark Ingram. I don't love this pick, but since I have Dalvin Cook, I got to get serious with running back. So I took Ingram. Just investing in the Ravens offense. I think his touchdown production could regress, but so is Lamar Jackson's. He's not going to throw 36 touchdowns this year, so that could translate to more rushing touchdowns. Even though Ingram has Dobbins to compete with, I don't really think Ingram will need 20 touches a game to put up RB2 value in this offense. So I like taking him here. Sort of a lower ceiling pick, but I kind of have to do it with the way my team's shaping up.
You guys think we could maybe restart this draft?
No.
Raheem Mostert just came off the board at 5'8". I'm pulling my hair out, man.
I mean, that's a reach. Hold on. Where do you have him ranked among your running backs, Bobby?
22.
I'm not that high on him.
What about you, Sean? Do you have him in your RB2 territory?
I have him as a low-end RB2. Especially, if this was...
Eat it, Tag. Sean knows everything, and he's at it with me, baby.
The more...
Hold on. That's projections, though, Sean. Would you draft him as a low-end RB2?
He would have to fall. Like, when I've done these mock drafts on here, it seems like he falls. Same with Austin Eckler. So it seems like the computer's getting jumpy with us in the room. But I would rather take Raheem Mostert if he falls into RB3 range. Just the 49ers backfield so hard to predict that you don't want to be too risky with your RB2 pick.
Man, I guess I'm taking Darren Waller. Well, I already did, so it's too late to change my mind. I really wanted Raheem Mostert and Deebo Samuel, so I'm taking Deebo over T.Y. Hilton, Terry McLaurin. Actually, I don't know. I really like Terry McLaurin, too. He doesn't have as much competition for targets either. Ooh, this is a tough one for me. Samuel is so good at the end of the year. McLaurin, I think, is the better football player, but can Haskins get in the ball? That was the whole issue last year.
Yeah.
And how much does Antonio Gibson figure in? Does Andy Golden get on the field right away? There's a lot of question marks. And by the way, in this draft,
the coach compared Gibson to Christian McCaffrey, so I don't think he's going to take away from McLaurin.
Yeah, that's a dumb comparison. By the way.
And he would be. I mean, Terry McLaurin would be your wide receiver 3. You can't complain about that. That's pretty good.
I'm going to do it. I'm taking him over Deebo. Unless, Sean, are you trying to do this so that you can get Deebo?
No, I don't. Oh, shoot.
He was just taken, so you can't take him.
I'm left with the guys I don't want to pick from.
David Montgomery's there for you, Tags. Oh wait, Sean's pick. Okay.
Yeah, Sean's up.
Yeah, this is a pretty rough spot, to be honest. I feel like most of these guys would fall an extra round if I didn't. Let me see if I could.
There's probably going to be 5 quarterbacks that come off the board before your next pick.
Yeah, by the way, I didn't realize, Bobby, I literally thought you left rookies out of this, but it was because they came off the board so fast. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire came off at 202. That's even higher than I would go, I think. And then you had, let's see, Jonathan Taylor came off at 309.
Yeah.
So rookies are moving up draft boards. Cam Akers just lasted to 606. Now, Sean, I know you're about to make your pick, and I'll let you do that. But, Bobby, what's your take on this Rams backfield? Do you think Akers immediately walks in as the guy that gets 15 touches per game? No. Or do you think that they legit are going to follow through on this timeshare approach and say, no, it's going to be a mix of Akers, Henderson, and Malcolm Brown?
Henderson's so good at catching the ball out of the backfield. I have a real hard time believing he's not going to be on the field on third downs, especially to start the season. So no, I don't think 15 right away.
I can't see it. I can't see it for Akers. But again, they did draft him in the second round. That was the first pick they made in the draft.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a backfield I think I want to stay away from.
All right, Sean's pick.
So I'm making a bit of a game theory pick here. It was a toss-up between these guys. I'm taking Gallup. So I have Amari Cooper and Gallup. I think when it comes to season-long fantasy, you really want to boost your team's floor. So having both those guys, if one of them has a really good game and the other one stinks, I'm going to get both scores combined. So that's my theory behind that. If this were best ball, you're trying for, extreme upside. I would have gone with somebody else. I probably would have gone with Marquis Brown if it was best ball, because I'm trying to diversify, go for high upside. So based on season-long fantasy, when you're just playing head-to-head, I think the move here is to take Michael Gallup and kind of just take the 1-2 punch for Dallas.
Michael Gallup had 1,100 yards last season, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he did, but I mean, the issue with me that's like assuming that. So you're saying that you still think that Gallup is the number 2 wide receiver in this offense behind Amari and not CeeDee Lamb?
Well, I mean, that's up for debate for sure. I think when it comes to just the correlation between the two, I think if one of them has a good week, the other one might not go off. So I think just if you combine the scores, they're going to make up just an extreme high floor, high ceiling type player. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb could be the number 2 target. He is that good, but I kind of like CeeDee Lamb's addition to the team because Michael Gallup's been falling a bit. I was going to target Michael Gallup heavily this year, and I think with CeeDee Lamb on the offense, he's been falling to me in most of these mocks.
Nice. All right. So this draft is like gifted me this right now. I was debating between Kyler Murray and Tyler Boyd, and I was like, yeah, Murray's going to go for sure. It's most likely that Boyd's going to... I can't believe Boyd is falling this far, to be fair. And for those who don't know, yes, A.J. Green's coming back to the offense, but Tyler Boyd was actually better in 2018 when A.J. Green was on the field compared to when he wasn't. And now you have Joe Burrow coming to the offense and Zach Taylor's offense, and it's like this is getting a jolt of energy. The offensive line is going to get better. They're getting Jonah Williams back.
Sure.
So
They also added T. Higgins tags. They also have John Ross. They also have Auden Tate.
Auden Tate's dead.
Auden Tate's a good football player, man.
But he's dead.
Yeah,
he's
he
dead.
pretty much.
I hope he's dead because I dropped him in our dynasty league. So.
I'm gonna pick him up right now during the podcast.
All right. So Tyler Boyd, I have Tyler Boyd ranked as my number 26 wide receiver. So to see him fall, I mean, there have been 31 wide receivers come off the board. I am really happy to get him here. Again, David Montgomery is still on the board, but I feel like I can get that production elsewhere. I'm going to go with Tyler Boyd here and lock up my 3rd wide receiver.
What is David Montgomery's upside? Like, could he break out? Is there any chance that happens, Sean?
Here, I'm going to give you a name from the 2019 season that I think that you could say is possible. I would say it's possible that he has a Le'Veon Bell type season from last year. Well, no, I'd say even higher than that. But yeah, high-end RB2 maybe.
This is David Montgomery?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been falling pretty late. I'm not going to take him here because I need a 3rd wide receiver, but he's been falling pretty late. So if you can get him
300 touches.
Yeah, if you get him in the 7th or 8th round, I think that's good. Yeah. I definitely see high-end RB2 upside for him for sure. The offensive line is not going to help him much, but hopefully they can incorporate him more in the passing game, which I think we could see. I think he definitely has high-end RB2 upside. So like I said earlier, I probably would have taken Marquis Brown last round if I was in a best ball. I think now, since he's still on the board, I'm going to take him. Take a little more upside risk. Once we get past rounds, 6 and 7, I take more gambles. I'm comfortable taking a guy in round 7 that might not pan out. And Marquis Brown's that guy. I think he has obvious, wide receiver 2 potential, but he does have a bit of a lower floor than some of these guys, but I think this is the time to take those kind of risks.
Yeah, I think it's possible he turns into like a Desean Jackson type player.
And
if you recall, like going back to Desean Jackson back in his heyday, like with Philly, he was a guy that people drafted as a high-end wide receiver too, understanding that he's probably going to finish inside the top 12, but he's not going to give you consistent wide receiver 1 performances. So you kind of take the good with the bad with him. So right. I like Brown. I just worry about the volume there in Baltimore, which is why I moved Brown down to my wide receiver 38 in redraft, but that's around the territory we're at right now. The real thing I wanted to ask you guys, Bobby, I know you're trying to decide your pick. I'll let you do that. Sean, So Brandon Cooks just came off the board at 7-11 in front of Will Fuller. Which one of these two do you prefer? Because they do. I mean, it's odd what Houston is putting together there with like 10 slot receivers and then Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks. Which one of these two would you take over the other? I actually agree with the Brandon Cooks going over Will Fuller, but where are you at?
Like I said, this point in the draft, I'm way more risky. So I would take Will Fuller. I think when he's healthy, would you agree that he's probably ranked higher in your weekly projections? So I would, maybe he isn't, but I would take Will Fuller here because when he's healthy, he will be in your lineup, and when he's not, not to play him.
Well, and as you mentioned, it's like the whole tiebreaker thing. You could bring up the idea that he has chemistry with Watson, whereas Brandon Cooks isn't going to have any time. But Brandon Cooks has kind of gone through this every year, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you can make an argument for Cooks for sure. But I think if he's going to be your wide receiver 3 or even start on your bench, I would just go extreme upside. I don't really care about the injury risk. Just as long as he's healthy, you can play him or trust him. But, I would lean Fuller at this point in the draft.
So, guys, I have the most boring backfield of all time, and I actually feel really good about it. I got Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon. I just added David Montgomery, and now I'm getting Sony Michel. What is going on?
I don't want Sony Michel. I've moved on.
I mean, he looked bad last year, but are you going to say that his career's over because he looked bad? Maybe he was playing through an injury or whatever. He's the starting running back for the Patriots, moving on from Tom Brady. LeGarrette Blount scored 59 touchdowns in one season, man.
That was
with Tom Brady.
Yeah, not Jared Stidham or Cam Newton. So
or Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, for Brian Hoyer.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going Sony Michel. He's my 4th running back.
Apparently, guys, there's a report out there, like someone leaked, I can't remember who it was from, but I was on ESPN radio this morning doing an interview, and they asked me about it, and I was like, I hadn't heard of it at all, but that the Patriots are tanking for Trevor, and I'm like, there's no way Bill Belichick, I can't see him as that type of coach that would like be, now the front office might be doing everything in their power to make sure that he doesn't have talent, but I can't see Bill Belichick getting the first overall pick because his team was that bad.
I want to go back to Marquis Brown really quick. I was looking this up while you guys were talking. Before he got hurt in week 5, he was averaging 8 targets per game, guys.
Who was?
Marquis Brown, before he got hurt. He came out.
Oh, yeah.
He was dealing with a foot injury, and they were still getting him right away, 8 targets per game.
Well, he had Lisfranc surgery on the offseason. Like, I actually liked Marquis Brown as a prospect, but I didn't want anything to do with him in redraft because I felt like that Lisfranc would bother him, and it did. It affected the lower body, but the full offseason, Lamar Jackson not going to run as much as they're talking about. They didn't add a wide receiver of significance. I'm sorry, Devin Duvernay is not going to be the reason Marquis Brown doesn't get targets.
I think that's a great pick. I'm falling in love with Marquis Brown now.
Think about all the games that they didn't even play the 4th quarter. I mean,
exactly. Yes.
So there's going to be more competitive games that can only help him. And I have Mark Ingram, so I think having both those guys, one of those guys can have a good game. Right here, I love Kareem Hunt falling to me here. These are the type of running backs I love getting, around this point in the draft. Latavius Murray was that guy last year, where they're going to give you like low end RB3 flex value, when the starting running back is healthy, but if Nick Chubb were to go down, Kareem Hunt's at RB1. So I just love getting players in that range that have RB1 upside for free, essentially. So I've been noticing Kareem Hunt's the guy that kind of keeps falling to me the same way Latavius Murray did last year.
I'm kind of torn here. Okay, I'm not big on Darius Geis, but like talking through this with Sean and like going through this entire draft and saying, take risks in these second halves, I don't know how I feel. I can't do it. I've already talked myself out of drafting Darius Geis.
Me too.
Because Washington just keeps collecting running backs, and I don't see this as a very high-scoring offense, so it's like if you have to divide that, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. Even though right now the expert consensus is telling me to do it, I'm not going to do it. This is a half PPR format. There are still some running backs that I see on the board that I'm okay with. So I'm actually going to go with wide receiver here again. And I'm going to take the player that we were just talking about, Will Fuller. If he's on the field, he's the only guy with chemistry with Deshaun Watson. Watson can buy time to get the ball down the field. I'm not a huge Will Fuller guy, but where I'm getting him here in the 8th round, I'm definitely not opposed to it.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I'm gonna have some Will Fuller shares this season, believe it or not. I've been so off on him the last couple of years. Sorry, go ahead, Tag.
This is the worst. So Darius Geis is still on the board. It came back to me all the way back to the 9th round.
It's just telling you to draft him.
It kind of is. You know, I actually love my team. I'm like looking through it. This might be my favorite team I've ever drafted in one of our mock drafts. So I'm sorry for you guys. The wide receivers are getting to the point where, I mean, Christian Kirk is there. I'm not opposed to drafting him, but I do need another running back. So I only have Alvin Kamara and Kenyon Drake right now. So this is technically a bench player. So I guess I can ride it out with guys. I kind of hate the pick, but Philip Lindsay's going to definitely play behind Melvin Ingram. Or Melvin Gordon. James White is dead because, well, Tom Brady's not there anymore, and they're not going to score a lot. Matt Breida, that's a different pick for a different day.
Well, yeah, we know
pick
Bobby's,
for right now.
Yeah, we know Bobby's not going to let him come back to us either.
Hold on a sec. Am I the opposite of Adam Gase now that I took Darius Guice? Oh, man. I might have taken Frank Gore if I were Adam Gase.
Are you taking Matt Breida, Sean? Is that what's about to happen?
No, I'll leave him for you.
You're very nice.
I think there's a lot of running backs I would take here, so I'll pass. I think I got to take a wide receiver. I don't really like what I'm looking at. I'll take Christian Kirk.
Oh, man, that's who I wanted.
I think he's better suited for, being a wide receiver 2 type. His ultimate production will come down to Fitzgerald, I think. But I do like Kirk here to start filling out my bench. Just in case, Marquis Brown isn't consistent enough, I could put in Kirk, but he's just kind of just a safer pick at this point in the draft.
My question is how this Arizona wide receiver set looks in 4 wide, because they do go 4 wide quite often, right? It's going to be Hopkins for sure on the perimeter. We have Larry Fitzgerald in the slot, and then you have Andy Isabella, Hakeem Butler, and Christian Kirk. Now, does Kirk move back into the slot because Kirk was really, really good there, or do they put him on the perimeter and have Isabella play the slot?
Yeah, that's tough. I would hope they would play Kirk in the slot and Isabella outside, personally. Yep. But yeah, we'll see. That's something definitely to monitor throughout the offseason if we can glean any insight on that.
So everyone knows I'm taking Matt Breida here. Now, I've already got 4 running backs. I don't care. I'm taking a 5th starting running back. Some other goon is going to have 2 running backs. One of them is going to get hurt, and he's going to come crawling to me to trade him David Montgomery. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to trade him David Montgomery because I have Matt Breida, and I think he's an awesome football player. I think he's the clear starter in Miami over Jordan Howard. They improved their offensive line quite a bit. I'm grabbing Matt Breida all day in the 9th round.
I think Jordan Howard is going to be their early down back, and they're going to mix in Breida. Breida could very well be the more valuable fantasy pick for sure. But I still think that Howard gets goal line carries and like a lot of the 1-2 down work.
And then I'm going to do something a little bit crazy. And I don't know if this is the right move, but I want to talk to you guys about this. I'm taking the best player by far available on the board. Tyler Higbee's still out there. Now, I've got a tight end.
Yeah.
But there are going to be seven teams in the league with an actual tight end, and the rest of them are going to be streaming a bunch of dog crap the whole season. Right. I'm drafting a second tight end, and
That's
again,
funny.
I'm a big
I like
time
it, Bobby.
trader.
You screwed over a lot of teams, and I was not one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys already have your tight ends, but I would legitimately do this in real life. Because I'm going to be able to trade Waller or Higbee, and I'm a big-time trader. If you're not a big trader, you can't do stuff like this, but I'm all for it, man.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Tyler Higbee being there that late makes me regret my Kelsey pick. Yeah. These are the type of things that you learn from doing mock drafts, but if Higbee keeps falling to round 9 or 10, I'll probably punt on taking Kelsey as soon as I did. So that's one thing I just learned right now, is Higbee can last, all the way to round 10. If possible. So I think right here I'm going to have to take Ronald Jones.
No, Sean!
This is just a slam dunk.
Dude! I figured he was going to be there. like he wasn't going to be drafted.
Right.
I'm so ticked.
Typically we're not trying to invest in the Buccaneers backfield at all. And I know Vaughn was drafted. It could be a timeshare, but this is a Tom Brady-led Buccaneers offense, not a Jameis Winston one. And that's why we were kind of making fun of Bobby with Sony Michel earlier on. So we just have to view this offense differently. They're going to be, a winning team that, doesn't have to chase from behind because of Jameis Winston turnovers. So I think Ronald Jones is the slam dunk pick right here.
I am so mad at you right now. It's not even funny.
I'm surprised.
So I actually had a stat ready and everything. So here you guys go. All right. So everybody's giving up on Ronald Jones because of Keyshawn Vaughn. Over the last 7 years, there have been 22 rookie running backs drafted in the 3rd round. They have averaged a combined 125 touches their rookie year. Of the 22 running backs drafted, just 3 of them totaled more than 195 touches. Keep in mind, David Johnson was a 3rd-round pick for Bruce Arians, and he was playing absolutely lights out his rookie season. He got 161 touches. This is by far, there is no way that anybody should be thinking Keyshawn Vaughn is the locked-in starter. I do believe it's going to be a competition, but if you remember, Ronald Jones was an absolute stud down the stretch. He looked a lot better. They went throughout the offseason. They didn't know who they were going to get in the draft. They couldn't guarantee any of that stuff. I think Ronald Jones is extremely undervalued. I have him as my RB29. I have Keyshawn Vaughn down at RB43.
Whoa.
It's kind of flip-flopped in ADP right now, but I think this is Ronald Jones' job, and I was just trying to take value. This was me trying to get cute, and Sean made me pay for it, so thank you for that, Sean.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tex,
you're the worst.
Can I trade up for this pick?
No, you cannot. No, you definitely cannot trade up for this pick.
Latavius Murray, man.
Well, I debated taking him because I have Alvin Kamara, but Tariq Cohen is someone that if Darius Geis is hurt,
you're not taking Cohen over Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I am. Oh, yeah, I am.
Oh,
I just did.
Goodness.
Yep. Tariq Cohen is a little bit undervalued. So, Sean, maybe you agree with me here. Maybe you don't. But the Bears had a terrible offense last year. Let's be real about it. There were no big plays for Tariq Cohen. If you go back to 2018, he was a big play machine, and that's why he finished as a top 12 fantasy running back. I believe there's a middle ground with Tariq Cohen where he's going to have some of those big plays, but he gives you a solid weekly floor, and that's what I need when I have someone like Darius Geis on my team.
Yeah, definitely. It all depends when you take him in the draft. I would say Cohen has an extremely high floor. If David Montgomery goes down, I don't know if you would consider him even close to an RB1. But when it comes to Latavius Murray, we saw last year, if Kamara does go down, he is, RB1 status.
He's
so he has a
great
higher
best ball pick.
Exactly. Yeah. So he has a higher ceiling. So I go for higher ceiling this late in the draft, me specifically. But it depends on your roster construction. If you skipped running back early on, you definitely need Cohen to provide you some stability. So I think it's more of a personal call.
Cohen was an RB1 in 2018. Let's not forget that, guys. Yeah. He's a good football player. All right. Opposite of Adam Gase, you were up.
Yeah, so basically, I passed on that upside last round, but I'm going to get one this round that provides me tons of upside should an injury happen to the starter, and that's Tony Pollard.
Oh, come on, man. Get out of here. You can't just take my guy.
I can. I mean, you still have another 7 picks to go. It's not like I'm
but I wanted Tony Pollard. I'll trade you all 7 of my other picks for Tony Pollard.
I'll trade Sean Tony Pollard for Ronald Jones. I mean, and then he can trade Tony Pollard to you for, maybe DeAndre Hopkins.
No, I'm not. No, I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. But I want Tony Pollard. There will not be another mock draft all off season where I don't get Tony Pollard. Right at Nate.
You better start reaching in the single digits.
I'll start reaching. I just got stuck picking on the turn because Tags messed up the mock draft. All right, Sean, who are you taking?
All right, so because I have Dalvin Cook, I'm forcing myself to take Madison here.
Dang you guys.
And, we saw that last year where, of course, when Dalvin Cook went down, Madison was hurt too. So we saw the Michael Boone week or two. So I think Madison's still the guy to own. If you have Dalvin Cook, you want to handcuff him with Madison if you can.
Yes, you do. And even if you don't have Dalvin Cook, I want him.
Yeah, that's true.
Man. All right, well, I'm taking Sammy Watkins.
I like it. Yeah. I like him. You're on the 11-12 turn.
I'll also take Golden Tate, I guess. I mean, he's still there.
He's definitely there.
Yes, he is. He is. He's there. I mean, he might be the wide receiver 1 for Daniel Jones this year.
I don't like the Giants receivers so much. Sean, what's your take on their receivers? How do you rank the Giants wide receivers between Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and Golden Tate?
Yeah, it's just they're so tight together. They're all basically low-end wide receiver 4s. And we just saw, great pick, Bobby, on Sammy Watkins, but we also saw Mecole Hardman go.
I wanted both of them.
Yeah, they're similar where, you don't know which one, is going to finish higher this year, but it's investing in the Chiefs offense. So I'd rather just take one of those guys, invest in the Chiefs offense, than, throw darts with one of these Giants receivers. Obviously, one of these Giants guys could end up being pretty solid wide receiver 3. It's just you don't know who. But I'm all about taking risk in this stage, so I would take a Mecole Hardman or Sammy Watkins over any of these guys.
Tate had 90-plus receptions in 4 straight years, and then in 2018 he was on pace for the same thing, and then they traded him, and then that obviously went backwards because he had to learn a new playbook on the fly, and then last year he was banged up. But this has historically been a really good wide receiver. I think if he's healthy, I think if he's with the team during the whole offseason, he's going to be fine. I think he will be the number 1 wide receiver for the Giants. Lots of backup running backs coming off the board.
It's just crazy to me to think that offense is going to have those three receivers, Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley there. It's just so many mouths to feed that I don't know if there's going to be any consistency. Probably a better best ball pick than it is a redraft. Especially with someone like Slayton. I'm not high on Slayton at all in terms of like redraft. People are drafting him as like the 40th wide receiver off the board. I'm not there.
I'm with you. All right, Sean, on to pick 139 overall.
So this one, just go for maximum upside. I think I'm going to go with, I'm debating Desean Jackson, but that's no fun this time of year. I'm going Denzel Mims. I think just he has the chance to be the alpha dog in this offense. And, that's kind of the reason why I've been targeting Robbie Anderson these past few years is he doesn't have the competition in that offense. So I think Denzel Mims, it was surprising to see him fall to the Jets, to be honest with you. But I love taking him, as my fifth wide receiver. Love taking Mims this late.
I like that as well.
So I was torn between, and he just made the choice for me, basically. I was choosing between Pittman and Mims, and I think it's possible that Pittman leads the Colts in touchdowns.
Yeah.
You have T.Y. Hilton there, he is what he is. But Pittman fits that Vincent Jackson mold, that Mike Williams mold of the guy that Phillip Rivers is willing to throw the ball up to in one-on-one situations, and Pittman can win those contested catches. Something popped up on Twitter earlier today that he's being called the X wide receiver in that offense, so he could be the go-to guy. I do believe that's the case with Paris Campbell in the slot, T.Y. Hilton being somewhat of a field stretcher, and he's coming up on 30, 31 years old, so T.Y. Hilton's up there. So Michael Pittman, this is an upside pick for me with Phillip Rivers because I don't think Rivers is done like some do.
What do you guys think about Allen Lazard as the Green Bay number 2?
I believe it's a fluid situation between him and Devin Funchess that I don't think it's locked in that he's that guy.
Did I say RB2? I meant wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
and regardless, he was the wide receiver 2 from week 6 on. He was wide receiver 49 in that time period.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just rough tying yourself to the Packers right now. A team that's making all sorts of bad decisions.
Speaking of which, A.J. Dillon's on the board.
All right. A.J. Dillon, yeah, he's there. That's okay. All right, so I am feeling really good about my team. Like, I'm very balanced. I don't feel the need to take a backup tight end. I mean, Carson Wentz is here. I feel like doing a Bobby thing here and just saying that Carson Wentz is here and he shouldn't be. And if I take him, it might be screwing somebody out of a quarterback because there's still a team without one. So I think I might do that and then kind of hope he turns it around. With all the players that they've brought in,
I think you should pick someone else, man. Pick a backup running back or backup wide receiver.
I don't want to do that.
Well, I don't have a quarterback yet, man. So. Oh,
you don't? You're the one?
I'm the one, man.
Oh, so I'm definitely taking.
I know.
There you go. Screw him over.
That's exactly what I
wasn't going to take Carson Wentz anyway.
By the way, and if it's Wentz, to be fair, and if Wentz is the quarterback that I have, it's like if things don't pop off week 1 with that new receiving core that they have, I can drop him for my week 1 acquisitions.
Sure.
This is the point where you take a guy that you're going to know right away.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's why I'm taking N'Keal Harry right here. I'm not expecting much, but he's at a point in the draft where, if you have to drop him after week 2, it's not going to kill you. So I might as well take the just wide range of outcomes with Harry at this point. Makes sense.
I like that idea a lot. Let's see. I'm looking for upside, and I've got a running back who has a chance to be a bell cow. I don't know, 40% chance to be a bell cow in his offense. Raquel Armstead's still out there, and they're trying to trade Leonard Fournette. If they trade Leonard Fournette, well, I guess they just picked up Chris Thompson, who's going to be the third down back. Raquel Armstead can really catch
more of a
the ball,
compliment.
Man. Yeah. I love Raquel Armstead. He reminds me a lot of Chris Carson. I think if he finds his way into touches, he could be a solid RB2, even in Jacksonville's offense. So I'm going to grab him now, and then I need one more player. I guess I got to take a quarterback. Honestly, if the draft grade wasn't on the line, I'll tell you, I would not draft a quarterback right now. I would draft another high upside backup running back.
Yeah, and then play week 1
and
schedule.
then just look and see who's got a good streaming matchup for week 1. If it's Gardner Minshew, I'll start Gardner Minshew week 1. I don't care. I want the best possible matchup because the number 1 streaming quarterback every single week compared to, the number 5 quarterback last year was better. You can draft the number 5 quarterback, or you can play the best streamer every week. I'm not talking about the one who performed the best. I'm talking about the one that is recommended in our article as the best streaming quarterback every week. I went back and looked at it last year. It was better than the QB5 over the full season. So I'm going to take my quarterback. It's Baker Mayfield. I think he's got a lot of upside. This is one of those cases where you draft him. If he's awesome, great. If not, you cut him for the next streamer. That's what you need to do if you're drafting a quarterback late and you're not getting a week 1 streamer.
I like it, dude. I mean, I like Baker. I have him ranked as my QB 12, so
Yeah,
I'm
me
right
too.
in line with where you drafted him.
Do you like him over Carson Wentz?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, I have Wentz. I think I have Wentz one spot higher. That's it.
I was seeing if you could make all the Philadelphia Eagles fans really mad at you. At Mike Taglier, NFL Cowboys
I am
fans,
not
he likes Carson Wentz.
Oh man, no, I don't hate Carson Wentz. Yeah, I just looked just to confirm it. I have Matt Ryan at 10, Wentz at 11, Mayfield at 12.
All right, Sean, it's up to you for your final pick. Who are you going with? I'm assuming some upside guy.
Yeah, you took Armstead. I love your reasoning for him. I was hoping he would fall to me. I'm just taking a high upside backup running back here.
Patrick Laird.
No. And it's a bit early to be doing this, but it's Rashad Penny because he'll probably end up on the PUP list.
Pup list.
So he's going to have the IR designation. You could just stash him for the first 6 weeks. He opens up a roster slot. So it's essentially just opening up another bench slot. So that's why I'm taking Penny. I don't think he'll play until week 7 at least, but I think using that strategy to just take a guy that's going to be on the IR to start is a smart one here.
That's a really good call. I like that a lot.
That was my pick, honestly, if he was still there. He was a guy that I didn't know how to rank Penny and Carson before we heard about the pup list and Penny not being ready. So being that's the case, I did lower him down my draft board, but good pick there in the 14th round. I am going to go with a guy that Sean mentioned a couple rounds ago, in Desean Jackson. Because, I mean, guys, we've seen him play one healthy game in an Eagles uniform. And do you guys recall what he did in that game?
2 touchdowns, 140 yards or something.
It was ridiculous. I think he saw 9 targets. Yeah, 9 targets in that game. He caught 8 of them for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And
he was a wide receiver 3 the year before that, and he missed some time.
Right. And so to take him here, it's just like, again, you're going to know what you have in week 1 if they're starting Jalen Reagor ahead of him. I don't think that's the case, but it seems like Alshon Jeffrey might not be ready for the start of the season. So Desean Jackson,
Love it.
Okay, draft grades are in. I'll start because I'm not going to get first place. Got an 89 B+. Sean, what do you have?
96A.
Ooh, man. Tags, did you beat him?
No, I did not.
Did you
Sean,
beat me?
I did beat you.
Oh.
Yeah, of course I beat you. That's
I'm sick,
it's my
man.
career high, 2 in a row. So 92 out of 100, A- for me. I love my team, but as I said before, Sean is popping up as the number 1 team. Sean, if you want to run through your team for us and kind of break down how you feel about your roster.
Oh, we got first, second, and third, guys.
Yeah,
We're a great team.
They were reaching for Austin Eckler and Mozart, right? I mean, they were drafting pretty weird. So I like my team. I'm drafting it a little bit differently because it's this time of year. So I drafted, I have Dalvin Cook, or let me just go down the actual roster.
Yeah.
So, I have Mahomes at quarterback. Like I said, I typically don't target quarterback early. I just thought, he fell to me, and I think it was round 4, so I took him. Then I have Dalvin Cook and Mark Ingram at running back. And then, I back them up with guys like Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones, Alexander Madison. So I think I have, a pretty good safety net with those guys. Wide receiver, I double stacked the Cowboys with Cooper and Gallup. Like I said, every week I'm going to get a good score for one of those guys. So I like the high floor scenario I set up with that. Then I have Marquis Brown just going for pure ceiling there. And then I have guys like Christian Kirk, N'Keal Harry, Denzel Mims. Again, pretty high upside guys that should be, number 1, number 2 options in their offense. And then Travis Kelce at tight end. One of my biggest regrets in this draft is taking Kelce early just because a guy like Tyler Higbee was available in rounds 9 or 10. So maybe I would have handled that a bit differently in hindsight. But overall, I feel really good about my team.
You know what's really pathetic? Is that if you guys hadn't sniped Tony Pollard and Alexander Madison from me, I would have finished with like 102 A+. This is a great team. Here's my team.
Credit.
I got Baker Mayfield, streaming quarterback. My running backs, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon, David Montgomery. Just kidding, guys. Sony Michel, Matt Breida, Raquel Armstead. For not drafting running backs in the first 2 rounds, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And then I got DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, safe as they can come. Terry McLaurin, Golden Tate, Sammy Watkins, and then my tight ends. I got Darren Waller and Tyler Higbee, so I'm going to be swinging some trades. I like this team.
Bobby, I'll say I actually don't mind your team at all. I don't think it's a bad team. I don't think any of us drafted a bad team. Like I said, this might be my favorite team that I've ever drafted. Like looking at it, like Kyler Murray's my quarterback. I have Carson Wentz on the bench, whatever. I did that to screw Bobby.
It worked.
But then, and then I had Alvin Kamara, Kenyon Drake as my starting running backs. And then you go down to bench flex, whatever. Darius Geis, Tariq Cohen, Tony Pollard. And then wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr., Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. Steady, consistent guys with some upside built into them should there be an injury. I have Will Fuller down there, Michael Pittman and Desean Jackson, and then Zach Ertz is my tight end. I'm happy with this team. I mean, it's really am.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I lost. According to experts, and this is not our opinion, by the way. It's based on the ECR, how we have it, and the overall value of the roster. So naturally, Sean finishes number 1.
Well, we knew Sean was going to finish number 1, but I'm really upset that Tags beat me 2 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it's going on for quite some time. I'm beating you in all the drafts that we're doing. We just did a draft on TV characters that should be coming out soon.
Nice.
That's a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely winning that one. And here, I'm going to win one more thing before we end this podcast. So, Tags, you don't get to eat for 2.5 hours. I'm about to go eat some pizza. So eat that baby.
True. That is absolutely true. I don't get to
it?
eat for 2.5 hours.
Don't know if I don't think I'm going to put butter on this one because I got a white sauce base and it's not as good with a white sauce base. So anyway, Tags, you can be hungry for the next 2.5 hours and think about me eating pizza. Enjoy your, second place.
That's terrible.
Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show. As always, it was a blast and your team was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey guys, give him a follow on Twitter at @the_oddsmaker. I'm at Bobby Fantasy Pro and Tags is at Mike Tagliere NFL. For Sean Koerner and Mike Tagliere, I'm Bobby Sylvester. Thanks for listening and watching, and enjoy your football.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Make sure to check out our featured videos as well. Also, make sure to click that red subscribe button to get notified when we post videos in the future.